What do you think, Kiyomi? Our trickle
I'm not
seems to
seeing,
have slowed, but
yes, I'm not seeing too many people come in. I think we are good to go.
okay.
Since I'm recording the session, I'm planning on sharing it those that aren't able to make it.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. Well, hey, thank you everybody for jumping in with us this evening. I can't think of a place that we'd rather be. I'm sure this will be the highlight of your day. We'll have some fun, but really want to thank you guys for not just your commitment to tonight's training, which we find super valuable to do once a year, kind of prepping uh, both our returning folks and new folks who are interested in getting more involved, preparing you guys for conversations with legislators, legislative dinners, eventually Day in Olympia. Um, it's a little bit of a commitment. We understand that, so we really want to thank you guys for filling those spaces. I figured I'd go through and just kind of do a quick introduction of our grassroots team and then turn it over to our folks from AOA, who are going to provide a really exceptional training tonight. But so I'm Dr. Ness. I'm the one of the current co-chairs for the committee. Um, I practice in Bellingham. I've been part of OPW for coming up on 3 years now. Graduated in 2020 and was a student member for a long time, but thankfully getting back into the groove of things here. I co-chair with Dr. Stacy Tavarik, who will be jumping on the call here in a little bit. We also have on the call Dr. Paul Jensen, who longtime chair of our committee and still offering a lot of really good wisdom um, and advice as we kind of navigate the waters of what's ahead. We also have Dr. Michael Wagner, OPW's current VP, and then our newest member, Dr. Matthew Wojcik, who we are fortunate to have on board. Of course, none of this can be done without Kiyomi. Kiyomi is our OPW, both grassroots and membership coordinator. And gosh, a lot of the behind the scenes, it's all her really. So my biggest point there, if you get an email from Kiyomi, please look at it, read it, do something about it, because it's probably important. She's put a lot of time into that. So and then of course DJ, our executive director, who plays a big role in what we do as well. So yeah, we're gonna learn a lot tonight. We got a few items on the agenda, but first is our presentation from the OA State Government Relations team. We have Dr. Chandra McNeely is with us, and Dr. Lisa Gunterick, who's gonna and a few others too who I haven't met yet, but we'll turn it over to you guys and go from there.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate it. And yes, to repeat the sentiment, thank you all for dedicating your personal time to help move optometry forward. I guess, Sandra, I'll just kind of start with talking about key persons in general. I know there's probably a lot of people on the call tonight that have a lot of experience as key people, but I expect there's probably some that are just getting started. And so this presentation is probably geared a little bit more towards those who haven't really had much experience in this arena. But basically, what it boils down to is optometry is a legislated profession. And in order for us to move forward, we have to build and maintain relationships with legislators so that we can educate them about what optometry does, and that will help us in our future endeavors. And so a key person basically is kind of the main contact point for any given legislator. So anything that has to do with eye care, optometry, a key person has to make themselves known to this legislature. And ultimately, we're talking about building relationships over time where, hopefully not the end goal, but one of the main goals is to get to know your legislator well enough that you can have their cell phone number and that they can have yours so that they can reach out to you at any time with any questions. So basically, you're the main point of contact. You maintain a relationship with them year round. It's not just about when you are asking for their support for a particular piece of legislation. This is something that has to be ongoing because when it all comes down to it, decisions are made based on relationships. So if you're just getting started, we can help give you ideas about how to reach out to your new legislators if you're a little bit nervous about meeting with them or don't really know what to do or what to say. we'll be talking about some things during this presentation that can help you with that. Another really super important piece about being a key person, yes, it is a lot of dedicated time, but it also will require some financial dedication too. As a key person, you have to lead by example for other members. And so it's important that you give to your PAC, but it's also important that you give personal donations as well. And it sounds like the way your key person networking is set up is, or at least the way it is in Virginia, we have regional coordinators that are assigned to different docs in their regions and kind of help keep them on task with different things that we have to do each year. We try to have at least 5 or 6 touch points every year. Is there anything that you would add to that so far, Jandra?
I mean, for this slide, I mean, I think the main thing I was kind of highlighted was the year round, that you don't just disappear for, 7 months of the year and then session starts and you're like, I'm back and I need something, so you have to kind of keep that relationship going. And it really takes all of us, as many members as we can get involved to be key people, but you all in leadership really are going to really be the ones that kind of drive that change. So, that's what I really liked about that slide was the year round. Sorry.
Go ahead.
We did. We're going to talk over each other 100 times. The relationships, and Lisa already said that about relationships. And, this is in one of the later slides too. But if it was all about merit and what, the contents of the bill and, things that need to pass because they're true, then we'd all already be doing lasers and we'd all already have a perfect insurance law. So we need merit in those bills, but really it's the relationships that are going to be the what's going to pass that.
Go ahead, Vicky.
Yeah. I'll keep going. Yeah.
And this is back to the key point, is, a legislator doesn't know optometry. They know us. And so it's our job to educate them about what it is that we are trained to do and how we are capable of treating their constituents, our patients. And a lot of times I can think of several specific examples in Virginia where a legislator was in a committee meeting and basically said, hold on, I can't speak to that point until I go call my optometrist. So, I mean, they had that kind of relationship where they didn't really know maybe the specifics of the bill or the science behind it or the merit behind it, as Jandra said, but they did have that relationship. And that's really what this is all about. So all the time and effort and work that we're putting into this is to really build strong relationships where the legislators know who we are and will reach out to us if they need us and are open to us when we need them.
And I think the trust is the huge factor in that, because there's going to be a lot of information coming in and sometimes a lot of it's true. Sometimes a lot of it's false, but they got to know who they really trust to believe that. At one of the advocacy meetings last year, we had the vision, bill sponsor for the Texas Vision Plan, which you all know all about that. And I know this is something that you're working on. So, and he just happens to be a veterinarian actually. But anyway, he said there's 181 legislators in the Texas legislature. No one voted against the bill at all when it actually went through. He said out of 181 legislators, probably 10 legislators actually understood the bill language, what that bill was about. And the 171 legislators voted for their optometrist. But that's what passed that bill. And that really struck me. I mean, like in the heart and, because I was like, holy cow, that's exactly what we've got to do, in every situation. So, so that's that trust factor.
You can go ahead, Vicky.
Oh, yeah.
And, we kind of already alluded to this, so when you know that you're going to be going really for any legislation, but certainly if it's going to be, contentious type stuff like scope, you need to put the time and effort in ahead of time. You really can't expect to walk in you know, even a month before you're going to drop the bill and start to try to build a relationship. That's not going to give you enough time to really build these relationships. And so, you know, again, with some of you more experienced key people that have been doing this for a while, you know, I'm sure you do have some good relationships and have built some strong ones. But, you know, there's always going to be new legislators coming in and new people to meet and new people to build those relationships with. And so it truly is an ongoing process. And, you know, once you really build it up and you get your key persons in place and you're paying attention to it and you're working on it constantly, it can become really strong. And, you know, fortunately, here in Virginia, we have had really strong. Our lobbyist is also our ED. And so we've just had really strong, like I've been practicing in Virginia now for 25 years, and we've just had that continuity and having that strong group of leaders and leadership that are really passionate about optometry. I mean, this is something that really takes time and effort, and you really got to want to do it. And it's amazing what can be accomplished if everybody just puts in a little bit of time. You know, I don't want to ever scare anybody away thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to take too much effort from me. That's not true. We're all in this together, like Chandra said. And if you can get a good core group that gets your membership excited, it really can make a difference. But the whole point is you got to have a plan ahead of time and you got to work on those relationships constantly.
I think too, when, you know, obviously you're going to have turnover every couple years with new house members. And so, you know, even when new people come in January, and you know, maybe you're filing a bill in January, hopefully you've already started that relationship with those new people, even back in the spring before, because you've started to work on those, in those races. So you've met a lot of the candidates and hopefully have at least started some relationships with people that have, you know, won those races. So, um, you know, just got to have a plan and put that in place as far as, you know, meeting folks and getting to know them.
And this next slide, I think, speaks to, you know, maybe some of you who don't have as much experience meeting with legislators, knowing, you know, how am I supposed to talk to a legislator? You know, it's kind of makes me nervous, or I don't know what to say. And um, really, you know, the thing that struck me the first time I went was, well, I went with someone who was more experienced at it, but I was really pleasantly surprised that literally each of the legislators that I met that day we're just normal people. I mean, they're just like us. They're just like our patients, you know. And our job, you know, in their eyes, we are the experts on optometry and eye care. And so it is our job to educate and explain to them what we do, because if we don't do a good job of doing that, other people will try to explain to them what we do. And, you know, that's not always the truth. So it's our job to make sure that we do that. And what this slide really points to is whenever you're communicating or talking with a legislator or their staff, always be truthful and honest. You know, if you really don't know the answer or you're not 100% sure of the answer, just be honest and say that. And I think that really goes a long way. You know, you're telling them, hey, I'm not sure about the answer to that, but I'm going to find that out and I'll get back to you. I've seen times where, you know, maybe some of our opposition was not always truthful, and it has come back to kind of bite them. And so I think, you know, just always take the upper road, and our legislators see that. And it's all about building the trust and knowing who they can and cannot trust. And in their eyes, like I said, we are the experts about eye care.
They may actually be more afraid of you than you are of them.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because, you know, I've seen sometimes they'll be like, well, you're a doctor, you know, you're the doctor, you know. And so, and a lot of them may feel kind of afraid or inferior, you know, to that, because they do all kinds of different jobs as well. But Lisa's right. You know, if you don't share about optometry, ophthalmology will share, and their lobbyists will share, and others will share, and that won't go well.
This slide, I guess, kind of just reiterates what we've been talking about. The first point is, you know, try to have some sort of organized effort. In Virginia, we use the key person dashboard to help us organize all of that, where we can send out to all of our key persons, hey, this is the schedule for this upcoming session. We want everybody to at least have coffee with their legislator by this date. We want everyone to, you know, meet with their legislator and give them a check by this date. And we want everyone to meet with their legislator and start talking about our bill by this day. So it's very organized. And we do like to have like the 4 to 6 points throughout the year. And it could be something as simple, like Jandra said, if you're helping out with someone's campaign or putting signs out or knocking door to door, like obviously that counts as a touch point. Really important to stay engaged year round, whether it's session or not. I know one thing just real quick that popped into my head that I don't know that we have on any of these slides. And again, some of you more experienced key persons know this, but it is, and I'm assuming it's like this in Washington. I guess I should ask this question, but it's not legal to contribute to a legislator when they're in session. So make sure you know what the rules and laws are in your state. And then if during any of your communications with your legislators, you learn anything that's important to the cause, then make sure that you're communicating that back to your, either your legislative committee or your executive director or whoever's kind of in charge of helping to coordinate the key person network. Because knowledge is power. And there's a lot of things that have come up over the years where a doctor would be like, oh yeah, I live next door to my legislator's sister, or just these random things that help to build these relationships is really good information to know.
And I think that's, kind of what I put on this about building a relationship. And I put a genuine relationship, so, it doesn't have to be like super deep. It can be, but it doesn't have to be like a fake kind of thing either. Some of the things that I kind of jotted down, but especially your first time candidates, that's a really good time to meet people and make strong relationships, because I think they don't forget those people that came in with them like from the very start, especially if they were in a really tightly contested race. I think they remember the people that helped them when they needed them. So it's kind of a, flip flop. When you really need them, they're there for you. Um, Kind of thing. One of my favorite things is volunteering for campaign. And we've got 2 special elections here coming up next month from a couple of seats where people had to resign for one reason or another. And so we're getting ready to do some door knocking. I know we talk about money, and you can give a little if you don't have a lot and you're a new grad. Give a little time, give a couple hours on a Saturday morning, knock some doors, make some phone calls, put up some signs. And I promise you those things aren't forgotten, because it's hard work. It's hard work to do the phone calls and knock doors. That's hard. Those things are completely remembered. Um, let's see, what else did I put on here? I say just keep showing your face. And you all said your day at Olympia, so your day at the Capitol and having coffee, go to their town hall, give them a tour of your office, give them an eye exam, or maybe not give them an eye exam, but if you can, you can, but, perform an eye exam on the person, send them a holiday card, a birthday card. First day of session, I send text to my key people. I hope you have a great year. Remember to call me if you have any, healthcare questions or eye related questions or any way we can help you. And those are always really, I think, appreciated. I get lots of fun emojis back on those because they know sometimes it's going to be kind of crazy. But so those are kind of things when I talk about relationship. When they see you, they smile, they're happy. When you walk into a committee meeting, they say, can say your name, wave at you, and they know you. So genuine relationship is what I'm going for there.
Yeah, that basically spells it out right here. Your goal as a key person is to basically be their person. So if anything comes up that they have any questions about, just in general, sometimes it's just a healthcare question, or like Chandra said, an eye care question, but you want them to think of you first. This is a great point. You really want to get to know their staff and be kind to their staff, because you won't get access to the legislator if the staff doesn't like you or know you. So I think that is vital to building a genuine relationship with your legislator. And then I alluded earlier that the first time that I ever went to the Capitol to meet with legislators, I went with a more experienced key person. And so they did have kind of like a mentorship where they hooked the younger, less experienced docs up with the more experienced docs. And that to me was so helpful, because just kind of tagging along and listening and watching and hearing, what was being said made it so much more comfortable. Like, I wasn't, after I kind of witnessed it for myself, I was like, oh, that's just like talking to a patient. I think I can do that. And so that was super helpful. And then it's true, your patients are their constituents. And so you're working to help take care of their constituents. And it does make a difference when you can email or call a legislator, and they know that you are their constituent. It does help, I think, give you kind of preferential treatment. What else do you have about that, Jandra?
Well, one of the things I always like to do is I said, do your homework ahead of time if you know you're going to meet somebody new. So, and of course, I'm gonna say her name wrong. Kiyomi, did I get it right? Can help you with this too, right? We have an app, or you can go to their website, read a little bit about them. So it saves you some awkwardness if you already know, like, maybe a little bit, and you have something maybe in mind that might be a good connection. A lot of things that I try to talk about is this, especially if it's your hometown person, something going on in your community, something going on in your schools, where your kids go to school, where your kids play sports. Um, or where they went to school, maybe you went to the same school, or you went to their rival school. You just have lots of things that, you can bring up that are easy to talk about. I always say too, like, don't talk about politics or any kind of polarizing topics. And I've seen some ODs do that. I'm like, oh no, let's avoid this. Let's don't do that. About making sure they have the your cell number. Meeting in the home district, I think, is great. You don't have to go to the Capitol to meet them. You can meet them at the coffee shop by your office, or have them come to your office, and you could have breakfast there, and show them your OCT and your Optos and those kinds of things. So lots of ways you can educate about optometry and talk about optometry without getting into even talking about any bills or anything like that. So.
And to go back real quick, Chandra, to what you said about, trying to stay away from politics, another thing that's, I think, helped a lot of people is, sometimes it might be a little challenging to go in and talk to a legislator who maybe has different political beliefs than you do. And this isn't really about that. This is about optometry. And so I can't remember what they said at the last meeting, Chandra. It's optocrat, and I can't remember what the other word was that they used. But anyway, we're
Visu-Publican or something like that. Yeah.
yes. So, this isn't about red and blue. This is about optometry. And so, if you can keep that as your main focus, then usually it does make things a little bit easier. That, just stay away from talking about politics. Talk about optometry.
Yeah, working with everybody goes well, and just forgetting about all that other stuff.
Yep. So getting involved now, that's because like we said before, it's ongoing. You have to get involved if you want to be successful in moving the profession forward. And these are all ways that you can get involved.
I see kind of with that is, yeah, I mean, it never stops. And I mean, tomorrow a bill could be filed that's something that you have to play defense on that you didn't expect. And you got to have those relationships already sitting there so you can kill that, and the thing I said is the stuff we ask for typically is pretty heavy stuff that, and it goes up against some big heavy hitters, medicine, insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, so these are big asks, you got to take the time to do that. And I always tell our people that nobody cares more about what we do about our stuff than we do. Your lobbyist can't pass your bill, even if they're amazing. Kiyomi is amazing, but she can't pass your bill by herself. Only optometry is fighting for optometry. And Matt Jones, Arkansas Matt Jones, you all have heard, he said many times that, during their scope bill, the dentist and the pharmacist voted against them, voted with medicine. So, just remember that it's only us. So if we're not going to do it, I mean, there isn't anybody.
Very true. And, this slide, I think, does kind of summarize some of the things that we've already talked about. Optometry is a legislative profession. That's just all there is to it. And so These legislators, they usually have jobs that are not just in the legislature. They're out there, they're farmers, they're pharmacists, they're teachers, they're, whatever. And they don't know what the difference is between an optometrist, an ophthalmologist, an optician. So it's our job to make sure that they know that. It is true that constituents are, if you're their constituents, that's the best way to gain access to the legislators, that they know that. And if you're not in there actively fighting for your profession, nobody else will. So this is why it's important for you to get involved now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's fighting against us.
This is a resource that you guys have access to through SGRC. It's a nice little summary of some of the things that we've talked about. It
Uh-oh,
helps
can you hear
you
me?
understand. Yes, I can. It summarizes what types of things a key person should know and do. And there's actually quite a few resources through SGRC that I'm sure Kiyomi knows that she can reach out to Vicky or Nick or Dana if y'all ever need or want any of these specific resources. But just basically things to help you remember timing and when to do certain things. I find it to be very helpful, and it summarizes a lot of things that we've talked about this evening.
Yeah, I think it's a really good, especially if you're new, to kind of look at these things and see what maybe is expected, or maybe there's something you haven't been doing that you could do a little bit better. I know we also have available like calendar, like, you know, just some examples of things like Lisa said, oh, everybody in January get coffee, everybody in February write a check or whatever it is, so that you have everybody kind of doing the same thing. And we have like some timelines and calendars that may be helpful to you all if that's something that would resonate with your members.
Oh, these are really good. So these are actual quotes from different legislators that the SGRC staff have been able to compile over the years. I mean, these are words that the legislators themselves use. And I don't need to read every single one, but, for example, I don't do optometry every day. You do. I don't do your stuff all the time. Don't stop. Keep us engaged and informed. The difference is you. Don't forget to build the relationships. This is how you pass stuff. Like they acknowledge that what we're doing does make a difference. And, there's no better confirmation than coming directly from the legislators telling us those things. This alludes back to the Texas legislator that stood up in front of everybody at that meeting. And I mean, that was really impactful to hear him say, how everything went in Texas and how it made such a big difference that all those ODs were so involved. They're not voting for the bill, they're voting for you. Like that's number one right there. That's the relationship. That's the importance of developing these relationships.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. Like I said, I've met a candidate yesterday who's running for a seat for a legislator who was very close to optometry, close to us, and he had to resign. And so we've got to start building a new relationship. So we're working on those candidates uh, as we speak this afternoon, sending out emails and getting those candidates covered. So this is super important.
And I know one last little piece here, Kiyomi had mentioned y'all maybe being interested in understanding or being exposed to the specifics about how a bill becomes a law in the state of Washington. And I mean, when I read through this, it's pretty similar to what my experience has been in Virginia. And I don't know that you necessarily want us to sit and read through each one of these slides, but Jandra, what do you think is the best way to summarize this for them?
I mean, I think, when you all decide what you want to do, it says pick a main sponsor. The sponsor is hugely important because that can make you or break you for sure. It's got to be somebody that's in it for the long haul with you. They get the bill drafted, means that some attorney at the State House writes up the bill. They file it. You have other legislators sign on. Those are co-sponsors. Hopefully you get your bill heard in either subcommittee or committee, depending on how that goes there, in the House or Senate, where you file first. You go through that committee process, you have a hearing. Sometimes it gets amended, they change things. And once you go through that and it passes, the committee, it goes to the floor. So all the House members have to vote on it and it can be amended there. When it passes, then it can go over to the Senate or vice versa. And it goes through that same process. And you got a few little things like with the rules. But if it passes the Senate and House and they agree on language, then it goes over to your handy dandy governor and he or she can decide to sign it or veto it. Or I guess partial veto for you all. I'm not sure exactly what that means. If that means that they can veto it without signing it, or that means it passes without signing it. But it takes all those steps, and there's a million things that can go wrong in every one of those steps. And the more relationships you have with legislators, staff people, the better those things will end up going for you all. So
One thing I would like to highlight on that piece that you talked about, John, was the very first thing was picking the right sponsor. That is paramount. And I know for all of the different pieces of legislation that we've gone for in Virginia, depending on the legislation, like that really determined who we chose for our sponsors. And while we did lean heavily on our lobbyists to help guide us in that arena, our legislative committee was right in there with them. And so it is a group effort, but it is a very big decision because like John just said, your sponsor can make or break that bill. And you got to have somebody that's going to be in there ready to fight for you in the trenches. Because some of the bills that we bring are not fun to fight. You got
we
to have
tell
the
them
right
that up
one.
front too. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like, this is going to be really hard and it's going to have a lot of people are probably going to be angry at you.
Right. And then this slide just shows, and this maybe is more for your leadership, but there's a lot of ways or a lot of resources at SGRC. So if you ever need anything, talking points or, any of the things listed on the slide, and we'll share all of this with you. They really have done a tremendous job of compiling all of the information from all of the states. And so sometimes you might need statistics or what states have what laws or, things like that, that you can work into your talking points for your one pagers with your legislators, and SGRC can really help. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. A lot of the stuff has been done or at least compiled to where you can utilize it the way that you need to utilize it.
Absolutely. And we definitely want to help you in any way possible. We have some awesome committee members with tons of experience, people who are super bill reviewers, language reviewers. Um, like Lisa and I, well, we do other stuff, but we really like the grassroots stuff. But we have members that do all those things, and we're, definitely willing to get involved in any way. So we tried to hold it to 30 minutes. We said we were going to get a gong if we didn't close at 30 minutes.
That was awesome. That was perfect. Anybody have any questions for these guys? I guess you'd have to type it in, but I thought that was perfect. That was ideal. You guys touched on a lot of really good points. That's probably one of the biggest hurdles for, I think, a lot of our folks is maybe the intimidation factor, right?
Oh, for sure.
Meeting with legislators for the first time. They're big and scary people, at least on the outside.
Sure.
Like you guys said, they're just like our patients. They want to know, they want to learn about eyes, and we're the ones to teach them that. At the same time, they're trying to serve the same people we're trying to serve. The public,
Right.
our patients. They're the same people that they're trying to win the vote from, but also, change things for the better. So
Right.
And they got to get reelected. So
you got to get reelected. That's right.
so they need your help with votes and money and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And then on the, time commitment factor, for those of you who are on the call, I mean, the fact that you're here is huge. Just willing to step in. We don't expect you guys to put in, every single waking hour outside of work into this position. We want you to be involved. We want to give you the tools to make that easy. It does require some commitment. But we just need someone who's willing. We just need somebody who's willing to get in there and have these conversations with these legislators. So,
It's
Sometimes
actually
maybe
been
it's
fun.
just an hour, maybe
Yeah.
sometimes.
yeah,
Some months, maybe it's a half a day to go to the Capitol for legislative day, but
for sure.
have coffee, I mean, 40 minutes before work or, you know, just a lot of little easy, I mean, texting, 2 seconds,
Yeah,
happy birthday. Hope you have a great day.
totally.
Right.
Quick, easy stuff.
And the Dr. Gonzaga, like you're saying, it is kind of fun. I mean, to quote Dr. Igbinabo, who's on the call, my Mount Baker colleague here, it's fun to see how the sausage is made. I don't
Sometimes.
know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. I don't know. I like seeing the inside track. So
I've just become really good friends with my legislators, it's really been I mean, I've been doing it for a while now, but it's really interesting, it's really nice to catch up and see what's going on with them, and it's just like a friendship. So it's enjoyable.
awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Can
So
I ask a question?
Sure.
I mean, we're the Grassroots Committee, and it's our job to get information to our membership and to help get them motivated, et cetera. Do you have any advice in identifying people who might be interested or motivating people, kind of giving them the big picture about why it's important to be involved? Because I mean, I think we're pretty good with the people we have involved, but getting more is always better.
That's always the challenge, isn't it? Do you guys have like local societies? I mean, we've found it beneficial where we kind of talk to like our state level key people will talk to the local society leadership and kind of pick their brains about who they know at the local level that would be somebody that they would recommend or that they feel would be energetic enough. And then we reach out that way. I mean, I try to attend all of my local meetings and do that myself, but we have, a pretty big state, and we have to reach out and rely on the local societies to help with that. Because it does make a difference making a phone call versus sending an email. If you have that personal connection, I think it just means that much more. And honestly, I've been pleasantly surprised over the years. There's a lot of people that want to get involved. They just don't know how. So they need somebody to ask them to. And just say, hey, we just need you to do this. Or, and a lot of times they do want to help. They just didn't know where to get started.
I
So
think
I guess that's my best
I think
advice.
it's peer-to-peer total
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
A blanket email and text. Very few people
easy to ignore.
respond to that, and then you have the people you just volunteer what to do.
Right.
And sometimes you get people to do stuff that way, but I think
Yeah.
as peer-to-peer and get your young people calling the young ODs,
Right. Yeah. And
people
if
that
you can
might
get some sort of like mentorship thing at your day at the Capitol, like I think that really energized a lot of people who maybe would have been hesitant to do it without seeing what it was like first.
sometimes we get people to come to that by having an hour of CE like before
Oh, yeah.
too. Like that kind of draws people in, and then we kind of have some food and they'll stick around so we can kind of, you can kind of trick some people into doing it a little bit that way too. But
Yeah. Any other questions?
I wish I had a really good answer for that
That's a hard one.
because I need the answer to that too.
We all do.
just keep working at it.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, y'all, for
Yeah, thank you
taking the
guys.
time.
Appreciate it. I'll have a couple more things for you, the rest of you guys on the call. Just a couple quick tools to get you guys set up, and we're going to send you guys a bunch of information afterwards as well, kind of a starter packet for being a key person. But wanted to quickly touch on what our bill actually is. By no means am I like a major legislative guru. We have a solid legislative team that's worked hard on this, but want to give you guys just the big picture, the big picture that a legislator is going to want to hear, not necessarily getting into the weeds, but overall what the bill is about. So we currently have a House bill, 1770. It's the Vision Benefit Manager Transparency Act. Really, this is going after a lot of the abuses of vision plans. The two main points: this bill will define vision benefit managers in the insurance chapter of of the statute or of the law. Right now, if we were to try to enforce anything as far as the vision plans go, they're gonna they find a way out of it because they don't consider themselves to be insurance necessarily. So step one is getting that to be defined and then placing VBMs, vision benefit managers, under the authority of the insurance commissioner so that they can then be regulated. A couple of the kind of smaller details under that umbrella are things like, ensuring lab choice, eliminating requirements to take a vision plan in order to be credentialed on a medical plan, preventing us to be forced to accept all plans within a vision benefit manager to be contracted with them, prohibiting forced discounts on non-covered services. So there's a lot of kind of sub-bullet points, but the big one, the one that to really simplify it for talking with legislators, is getting these vision benefit managers under the authority of the insurance commissioner. So we started up this bill this past day in Olympia, and we're coming back to it this next time around with hopefully a little bit more awareness and firepower for it. So yeah, if you guys have more questions about that, but feel free to let us know. And like they said in the training, if there's a question that comes up you guys don't know the answer to, don't feel like you have to make up an answer. We can always get back to people. But important to take those questions down so that we can then follow up with that. So that kind of leads me into, I wanted to talk quickly about legislative dinners. This is kind of the season we're wanting to see those done in. So legislative dinner within each society essentially is just an annual get together with our local lawmakers, to just another point of conversation, just another touch point throughout the year. In some ways it is to introduce kind of what we're doing in the legislation, but it's I think mostly just to make a face-to-face connection, to yes, show some appreciation for our legislators who are willing to work with us. And a lot of this will be sort of orchestrated by society presidents, but as key people, we want you guys to be present as well there. So, a couple of the to-dos, it's setting the date, it's reserving a restaurant, it's inviting the legislators, getting as many there as possible. It's getting society members there. You're planning a party, you're planning a dinner. And so doing all the logistics to get that off the ground. Let's see. Yeah, it's we ask that, as a key person, you back up the society president's invitations to these folks. If you have a really good relationship with your legislator in your district, you might be the difference of them coming to this dinner or not. And so if you can really drive home the fact that, hey, we want to have an evening with you of conversation and good food, and it really sets up the stage for when we come back today in Olympia saying, hey, I'm coming this winter, I'm going to try to schedule a meeting with you at the Capitol. They say, oh yeah, okay, I remember who you are. Like, let's continue the conversation. So yeah, it's a really fun event. And again, nothing to be intimidated by, just something to be involved with. So those dates should start being set right around now. We shoot for between September and November usually for these dates. It can be a little bit after as needed. There are only 2 dates that we know of so far to avoid altogether. That would be October 21st and November 18th. Both those dates, there are, I think, joint meetings in the legislature. So Otherwise, I'd say it's time to start getting things on the calendar, and we can help with that too. Did I miss anything on that, Kiyomi or Dr. Jensen? Anything else you want to add? Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about, let's see here. Oh, we have kind of a key person guide too. It's sort of, I guess, condensed version of the AOA's list. We'll send that to you guys. But again, it's really just about relationship building. Maintaining a couple points of contact. What we'll do throughout the year is we'll often have our WOPAC committee write checks for campaigns of the folks we want to really support in the legislature. You guys as key people would be really paramount in getting those checks delivered. And there's another, face-to-face interaction with them that you have the opportunity for. So yeah, it's really just having kind of your ear to the ground and your eyes on your email throughout the year when stuff comes through from our committee. It's us trying to mobilize information, mobilize funding, just to kind of keep the ball rolling with these folks throughout the year. So I guess as a key person, just keep trying to reach out to your legislator, whether it's through again, if you have their phone number, if you end up getting their phone number, that's a great way to do it, or direct email address. But utilizing their government email address, and then also I always link in their legislative assistant to almost any email that I send. Oftentimes the LA is in charge of the scheduling. They know, at least as far as political events go, what that legislator is available for. And there are times when you'll have a conversation with the legislative assistant because that legislator just isn't available. And so you want to have a good relationship with them too. So yeah, it's just getting your foot in the door and asking them, hey, what's an easier way for me to communicate with you throughout the year? And I would say most are very receptive to that. That brings me to my last point. Anytime you have an interaction with the legislator, we like to log it. We like to keep track of both the strength of relationships and how frequently you've been contacting them. And we've got a really easy way to do that now. If you log into the OPW website, eyes.org, navigate to, there's a tab at the top that says Advocacy. You click on that tab, click on the Advocacy Center. Right on that page, there is a kind of a built-in form you fill out, and that allows you to log information about the interaction that you had, whether that's through an email or coffee or conversation you had. The details of that are important to us as we strategize conversations throughout the year. So that'd just be the last thing that I would ask you guys to do. But
And I can show everyone that real quick on our website if we want to see. On the screen here. Oh. It'll be under advocacy and then sorry. Advocacy Center, and then you should be able to log an interaction through this reporting form. And in addition to that, if you don't know who your legislator is or need their contact info, you can click My Legislator. And as soon as you put in all of your information, address, it will populate that information for you.
yeah. Cool.
And looks like we had
Oh,
one question.
oh yeah, I see it now. Do VBMs have any good arguments on why they shouldn't be considered insurance companies? What's our opposition saying? I I don't know if I have the right answer for that, but I think as of right now, what I've heard is they consider themselves discount plans, or I suppose it's just trying to um, dodge the fact that they should be regulated. I don't know.
I think what they're saying is any form of regulation will increase cost to patients. So no matter what you do, you're going to make your constituents pay more for healthcare.
Cool. Anything else?
I
Okay,
think you covered everything.
perfect. Well, again, thank you guys for being here and for stepping in. If you hear of anybody else who wants to get involved, by all means, let us know. We'd love to even sit down one-on-one with somebody and go over all of this again. So we'll send you guys sort of a packet of resources that you can use. We're always here as resources too. Our contact information will be available to you guys. Keep an eye out for emails and phone calls, and start planning those legislative dinners. And yeah, we'll just we'll keep on moving forward with this. But again, thanks for your time.
Alrighty. Have a good night, everyone.